I'd like to welcome everybody back once again to the Emperor Atheist channel. Now, let me get right into it like I usually do. Y'all know I don't really be playing around. This particular topic, very deep topic. And it's basically religious, but it's scientific. You know, this is where science and religion always clashes. Right here on the beautiful subject of evolution. Biological evolution. First, before I get the facts, and by the way, at the bottom of the video, you look in the description of my video, you'll see I left some links from evolutionary department at Berkeley University, and I left another particular link from a doctor, biophysicist, Matt Baker. So I want y'all to check these links out, you know, for your further study of evolution. And before I get into the video, and before I get into the information concerning the facts of evolution, because it's a dead ringer. Evolution is a fact, but then we have different divisions of evolution. What do I mean by evolution is a fact? Well, with definitely micro, as far as the term microevolution, fact, there's nothing to argue about it. NAS, National Academy of Sciences, and any real evolution biologist will tell you that evolution is a fact. But how about macrobiology? What do I mean by macrobiology? Macrobiology, as far as getting off into bigger things, that's all that macro means. Micro meaning small, macro meaning larger. So macrobiology will deal mostly with the evolution of humans, animals, birds. This will be dealing with macroevolution. We definitely have evidence for microevolution, but do we have particular enough evidence or empirical evidence for macroevolution? So this is what I'm going to get into today. By the way, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, but I've studied it. I understand the scientific method. I went to school for science, for the natural sciences, physics. But I do understand the scientific method. And I understand empirical evidence when it is shown and when it is clear. So I'm going to present some things. And I want all people, those religious people, because I'm going to ask y'all some questions. And I would love you to ask me these questions back concerning my thoughts on evolution and the evidence that we have for evolution. Now, a lot of people, you know, always use the term as far as when we deal with evolution. Some people always use these misquoted terms like missing links. Missing links, meaning that what, for us, Darwinian evolution teaches that all humans, we came from a particular common ancestor. So the first thing that the religious people, creationists, say, oh man, you don't have no evidence. Where is the ancestor? Where is this common ancestor? Oh, you came from apes. First of all, let me clear that up. Evolution has never taught that humans came from apes. That's wrong. That's ignorance. And people who say things like that really haven't studied the subject at all. And they really just need to be uplifted a little bit academically on that. But common ancestor and evolution teaches that all humans, through DNA, through ancestry, came from a common ancestor. Meaning the apes, chimpanzees, the gibbons, all came from a common ancestor. Not that humans came from apes or monkeys or gibbons or orangutans and so forth. No, that's not what evolution teaches. Let's get that straight first. But, I mean, the proof is in the DNA tree. It's in the DNA tree, not just with apes and monkeys and orangutans, but the proof is in the DNA tree of everything being, as far as what we call homologies. And I'm going to get into homologies later and what homologies mean, because homologies is basically one of the prime line of evidences for evolution, homologies. And I'll get off into homologies later on, and I'll get off into what we call distribution in time and space, and I'll explain that. It's for where religious people, most religious people, Christian Muslims, maybe think the earth is only 6,000 or 7,000 years old. Red light should come on. That's a lie. Well, we understand through real science, through empirical evidence, that the earth is at least 4 billion years old. So we talk about distribution of time and space. That's particularly what I'm talking about. We're talking about different eras, like the Jurassic era. And by the way, for those who don't know, Jurassic Park was not just a damn movie about dinosaurs. Jurassic actually comes from a scientific paleontological archaeological term that was about 160 million years ago. That was an actual time in Earth's history. It's called Jurassic. Then you have what you call the Cretaceous period. That's about 70 million years ago. Then you have different periods. There's a lot of different periods. Cambrian. You have different periods that shows the growth and maturity of the earth. Earth is at least 4 billion years old. Humans haven't been around not even 1% of that particular time. So they've got to get your mind of thinking right there as far as the way you believe. And I'm talking to creationists. And what I mean by creationists, people who believe that some deity, God, Jehovah, Allah, the great monkey god, whoever, came down from some seat in the sky and just made man out of dirt and made Adam and then took a rib from Adam, as the biblical version go, and made Eve. That's so damn ignorant. And I have to add, and I don't want to go too far off into this thing, I have to add that when we look at the biblical story, because I'm going to ask this question to the creationists and those who believe that some God created man and earth. It's only fair that you ask me questions about evolution, because I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this first. Science doesn't have all the answers right now as to biological evolution. We don't claim to. And that's the beautiful thing about science, because we're always in a learning cycle. We're always learning. Whatever theories or evidence we have today, or fact, not evidences, but facts we have today, can always be replaced with better facts and evidences down the line. That's how science works. That's how any great scientist, any science book will teach you. We don't just stick to one particular thing because we feel, oh, that's it. Nothing we ever find later will change that. That's what religious people do. Religious people say God did it, had talking snakes in the garden, talking donkeys, all this type bullshit. And religious people believe a man, whale swallowed Jonah for 3 days and spit him out to Nineveh. This is what religious people do. Religious people have absolute answers for everything. Scientists, we don't do that. We understand that things can be discovered and facts can change. We used to believe that Pluto was the 9th planet in our solar system. Well, thanks to Neil deGrasse Tyson, now we know that Pluto was not even a planet in the first place. Why? But this was a factual thing many years ago when I grew up in school. Pluto was the 9th planet, coldest, farthest away planet. But now we know Pluto is not even a planet anymore, because we understand the definition, the things we learned about stars, planets, galaxies. Our intellect and our knowledge base has grown. So I said that just to make a point. Well, science does not hold true to any absolute thing. We continue to learn. We have room for growth. Religious people, you don't have room for growth. You think this invisible God did it all. So you're kind of losing already. But the point I want to make about what we call macro evolution, because I'm not going to even argue the point about the microevolution. Microevolution, evolution, I guess on a smaller scale or mid scale, is a proven fact. I'm not going to even base that on. Macroevolution is too, but I'm going to give you some room to, debate, ask questions, and just to think about it. So we're not going to debate microevolution in this video. I'm not going to even speak on it because there's nothing to speak on. Okay, it's a no-brainer. But macroevolution, how did man and mammal begin on this earth? Some opponents of evolution, basically creationists, especially people like Michael Behe, and I'm going to mention Michael Behe because he wrote a book called Darwin's Black Box. It's a great book. Because I like it, and he's a creationist. He believes evolution is bullshit. And I have to read people like this because it is good to read people. You never want to, you never want to take a side because this is your side, because that makes you biased. And anytime you're searching for truth, seeking truth, you never want to be biased. Because as a religious person, I grew up Christian with a Christian pastor as a father and grandfather. So of course, when people used to come at me with different things that was against my Christian beliefs, I was biased. I wouldn't open my mind up to see where these stories were really incorrect or historically contradictory or textually contradictory, because there's no way in hell that anything in the Bible is wrong, because it was about Jesus and God wrote it. So this is the way we have to be even when we continue to learn. You have to learn how to sit in the middle and be non-biased. And this is what I've done with the subject of evolution versus creationism. And, it's a big debate. It's a big debate. It's a real big debate. And it's going to continue to be a big debate after we're gone, I'm sure. But science eventually is going to win out. And I feel that way. And because science is all, and the reason I feel that way, and it's not being biased, It's been historically correct because science has always won out. You go back to Copernicus and the way they fought against the church. Galileo, they wanted to kill him because he was saying simple things, simple to us now, that the earth was round and didn't, and the sun didn't evolve around the earth, but the earth and other planets actually evolved around the sun. Because in the Christian sense, the Catholic sense, the earth was the center of the universe. This is what the church, the ignorant people of the church, used to believe. So when men of science like Galileo and Copernicus spoke out against it, no, y'all wrong. They wanted to kill him. So science has always won out, and eventually the church hasn't won a battle since medieval times and before, when science started to actually come up out of the stages of philosophy, because science started off as a philosophy, then it eventually turned into an actual discipline of its own, but it started off as a philosophy. And ever since this time of the birth of science, to split itself away from religion as a philosophy, the church views versus scientific facts. The church hasn't won not one match. Not one match. We're talking about 1,000 years of fighting. The church hasn't won yet. So, historically speaking, science is going to keep winning because it always has won. All the way up until the time of Sir Isaac Newton, Einstein, Nikola Tesla, which I'm going to do a video on Tesla soon too. All the way up until today's scientists. Richard Dawkins. Stephen Hawking. Science is still winning. So the church hasn't proved anything of their beliefs yet. And now, this particular time, 2016, they try to separate. They want to try to separate it now and say, well, religious belief, science is science. But it's hard to do that, especially in the case of people like Michael Behe and the Discovery Institute. It was a case that I want y'all to look this case up if you're not familiar with it. The case is called Kitzmiller versus Dover, which was the Dover School District, Dover, Delaware, where these people like Michael Behe and all his cronies, creationists, people who believe in this spook God who came down and created man, Adam and Eve, they actually tried to get creationism as what they call intelligent design, or ID, which is the same as creationism. So don't let nobody tell you different. Intelligent design and creationism is the same bullshit, in the same bullshit jar, the same top. They actually tried to get it to be taught in school. So it was challenged in court. And make a long story short, Michael Behe was a star witness. This was one of the top intelligent design proponents and so-called scientists or physicists. He was called as a major witness in this particular court, in this case, and they lost bad. It really was a big blow to Christianity and religious belief altogether, because it showed where they had no evidence, and the judge himself was a believer, but he was a non-biased judge. And the judge, if you just go and look at the case, I don't have it before me right now, but it's, of course, it's public record. But the judge just said, look, y'all have showed not 1 ounce of evidence for intelligent design or creationism. But the other side, Ken Miller, who's a very known physicist, spoke against it, have showed mounds of evidence for evolution. So this was a big case called Kitzmiller versus Dover. And I want y'all to go look this up. And it was a big blow to the religious community, to the intelligent design community. But they still making these false ass accusations. You go on these bullshit sites where they talk about evolution is false. But in actuality, when you actually put up the evidence against the evidence, you see that they're a bunch of crap. And evolution is actually, we're getting more and more information on it every day. Just think, Charles Darwin, and some people try to speak against why Charles Darwin shouldn't be accepted because maybe he was a racist, or what I call a man of his time. I don't give a shit what he was. Either you can disprove his scientific theory or you can't. Now, if you can disprove his scientific theory, we good. We good. I don't know what Albert Einstein was. Albert Einstein might have been a racist or a faggot or whatever you want to call Albert Einstein. Who gives a shit? The general law of relativity stands, and no one can. He told you that that light, nothing travels faster than the speed of light. Either you can disprove his findings or you can't. Y'all got to get away, especially blacks, so-called those black people in the black conscious community. Oh, he's a white man. Why are you accepting evolution? Because he's a white man. You know, you hear this bullshit all the time. Either you can come up with an antithesis to show where he was wrong and replace it with a better theory or model of your own, or you need to shut the fuck up and stop making yourself look so goddamn stupid. Because that's all you're doing. You make yourself look like a goddamn fool. You can't go in a real debate forum and debate it because you don't know shit. You just throwing this, oh, it's a white man shit. Goddamn. Okay, but anyway, that's a whole nother video too to talk about that dumb black conscious ignorant shit. Real ignorant shit. But listen, this is the point I'm making. Charles Darwin, 19th century, came up with this. And I'm going to tell you something that Charles Darwin said. And I'm going to explain this term after I say it. He said that if irreducible complexity, meaning something that is complex, something that is irreducible, can't be reduced, that's what it means. I want y'all to look this term up. He said if irreducible complexity could be demonstrated, then my whole theory of biological evolution or natural selection will be thrown out the goddamn door. And this is what Charles Darwin said his damn self. Funny thing, this dude came up with this in the 1800s. It's 2016 now. And guess what? No one has disproven that. No one has demonstrated that anything in the genome of humans or plant life or animal life, nothing could have irreducible would have irreducible complexity. Meaning, and let me explain what irreducible complexity means. Meaning that the eye, for example, that if the eye was not intact or made intact from the beginning, then it wouldn't work at all. In other words, the eye couldn't evolve from different parts to different parts. It wouldn't be able to progress. In other words, the eye had to just be, and eye is one of the main arguments they use. In other words, the eye had to be made at one time by a special intelligent designer, which they, is this damn God or whatever. Okay? And this is why you need to get this book too. Because Richard Dawkins goes in on that, on the greatest show on earth. Richard Dawkins, world-renowned bioevolutionist. Great book on this, man. And he has a lot of other great books that y'all really need to get up on, man. Whether you with it or not, man. But this dude, man, I mean, he got books, Climbing Mount Improbables is the other great book. Oh, The Selfish Gene. The Selfish Gene is an awesome book. But anyway, not to get off on that topic. But the thing about the irreducible complexity has never been demonstrated. But Michael Behe, back to Michael Behe. Michael Behe wrote a so-called scholarly article that I think went through peer review. I don't know if it did or not because he's of the Discovery Institute. And let me explain. The Discovery Institute is this false scientific institute, a lot of money. They claim to be real scientific, but they're not. They don't even have real laboratories. And they put out unpeer-reviewed papers as if they have been actually peer-reviewed, but they haven't. But Michael Behe is like a senior fellow executive in this bullshit-ass organization called Discovery Institute. But anyway, Michael Behe put out a so-called scholarly paper, basically turned out to be pseudoscientific, on what is called the bacteria flagellum, or the flagella. And what he said about the bacteria flagellum was that it demonstrated that we finally have proven Darwin theory to be bullshit because the bacterium flagellum proves irreducible complexity. Well, it went on for a few months. Ken Miller came, crushed him. You can look this up on YouTube. Say, well, Ken Miller actually debunks Michael Behe bad, real bad. Well, Michael Behe couldn't even come back with him. But he debunks him. And once he debunks him, they try to say, oh, well, Ken Miller was saying this or Ken Miller was saying that. And the thing about it is that I have a link. Matter of fact, I told you the link. The link that I have is by Dr. Matt Baker. It's on the flagella motor. The flagella, excuse me. The flagella motor actually being reducible. And the link goes in totally. That's why I put it at the bottom of the video, at the bottom, by Dr. Matt Baker, who's a biophysicist and he actually destroys Michael Behe, because Michael Behe was saying that the flagellum, the bacterial flagellum, could not be reduced. In other words, that it had to be just one particular part. Well, of course, that was debunked. Like I said, Dr. Matt Baker, Ken Miller, they debunked them, destroyed them. So as of today, irreducible complexity has not been demonstrated. Then we have what you call, gene frequencies in populations. And a lot of people say, well, what about the gene? What about the gene frequencies? And I ask, well, what about them? Gene frequencies have always been found within the human population, with the human genome, and they have changed. And what people don't understand, I guess you could say the uneducated questions or uneducated assertions that people who actually don't understand evolution, they always make. They say, well, why this look just like this? Or why we didn't evolve in this long? Or if we came from monkeys, dumbass statement, then why are there still monkeys? See, this is the dumbest shit that can come from people who are anti-evolutionists, because they actually don't know what the hell they're talking about. The thing about it, you can't discount evolution just because an evolutionary organism looks somewhat like its ancestor, or just because we see a similarity. One thing about it, and one thing we have to understand is this. Oh, excuse me for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I just had a few little difficulties with my computer. But like I was saying, as far as gene frequencies were concerned, when we look at the changes of the gene frequencies, we see it, and not just gene frequencies. When we talk about gene mutations, a lot of people say, well, the DNA, how do you explain DNA? It's like DNA has a mind of its own, or something like that, some bewilderment type thing. What do you say about gene mutation? How do evolutionists answer the question of gene mutation? Well, in actuality, and I'm going to send the links for this, and so everything can be explained in a kind of simple layman term. Gene mutation, we see gene mutation all the time. We see that the mutation of the genes, in actuality, mutation of the genes actually take place. And when I talk about gene mutations taking place, have we seen these particular gene mutations take place in like a big major way? Well, we have to. I mean, is it a point of seeing big major gene mutations when in actuality we know for a fact that these particular mutations can turn on and turn off? And what I mean by that is, for a particular smaller organism to go to a much larger organism, there has to be a gene mutation. It has to be. So in other words, evolution works on gene mutation. It works on gene frequencies. This is how evolution works. This is how an organism of natural selection goes on into the next phase. Do we have evidence for this? Yes, we do. Sorry, creationists, but we do. And this is the thing about it. And not to bring up the term or what we call a genetic fallacy, because we understand that a genetic fallacy is saying, well, hey, one of the big major genetic fallacies that people make on both sides, whether you're evolutionist or whether you're creationist or you believe in intelligent design, is that this is true because A told me this, or this is true because this is the evidence we have. And a lot of times that's a genetic fallacy and it's not true. Like, for example, Jesus Christ died for my sins because it's in the New Testament. That doesn't make it true. That's a genetic fallacy. Or I'm Christian or I'm Muslim and I know it's right because my parents were Christians or Muslims. That's a genetic fallacy. Same thing with evolution or creationism. Scientists don't say that macroevolution is right because we have smaller or some type of evidence. We say macroevolution is the best model because of the evidences that we keep finding on it. It keeps coming. We're not going on hearsay. We're not going on third or fourth or five different people away from primary sources. These are primary sources, or what I call primary sources of evidence of evolution, biological evolution. So, oh, by the way, I just uploaded the Kitzmiller versus Dover link too. So that's going to be at the bottom of this video too. So you can go on and actually view that case where Michael Behe and Ken Miller and a lot of other different witnesses were called in that case up in Dover, in the school district of Dover, Delaware, dealing with intelligent design. These people was actually trying to dumb down our kids with this bullshit course called intelligent design. And it didn't make it. And like I said, that was a big blow for the religious community. But I got the link down there too, called Kitzmiller versus Dover, where you can go to that link. I think I got a Talk Origins link. I'll put it at the bottom, and you can also go get the whole case. You can get the whole transcript, and you can actually just read the whole case, and you can see what evidence was what, how it went, how the judge sliced the evidence, and made it very plain and clear to everybody who witnessed the case. So, you know, it was a plain, clear, and cut case. And the ID proponents lost. The creationists, they lost. But, you know, as far as evolution go, and as far, let me speak on the lines of evidence we have. Let me speak on the evidence first, okay? And we're going to compare this evidence to the evidence that you have for God creating Adam and then creating Eve out of the rib. So that's the best thing to do. Let's just compare the evidences and see who makes more damn sense. Well, first of all, that you have no evidence for Adam and Eve. I don't know why I even said evidence, but let's just compare the evidence against the evidence that we have for evolution. Let's compare the evidence we have for macroevolution, biological evolution, to the belief you have of your God creating man from dirt. Fossil evidence, number one. We have fossil evidence. And, well, some people ask, well, just because we find fossils that were thousands of years old or millions of years old, that doesn't prove evolution. That is a very true statement. Okay, but what fossil evidence does prove is that it proves change. It proves a gene frequency. It proves that when we go back and we find a Homo erectus or Australopithecus, and we find all of these different fossils, then we know for a fact, and we're talking about millions of years old fossils. One of the first major finds was the hominid that was found in Ethiopia that they dubbed Lucy. It was a female. Okay, these and she was not a monkey. Okay, well, some people say, oh, it was a monkey. No, she wasn't. Okay, she was bipedal. And these particular finds, and there have been finds that was people hominids that were older than Lucy. So these particular finds actually show and prove what we call gene frequency or change in the genome of the Homo sapien, what we'll call Homo sapien, the human. So fossil evidence, number one, which basically does show and prove macroevolution because it shows a change from thousands of millions of years. Then we have what we call homologies. I said I was going to get to homologies and explain to you what homologies is. Homology is actually something that shows the same characteristics of different forms of life. And I'll just try to give you a basic example of what I'm saying. For example, frogs, rabbits, lizards, for example. All of these particular animals, frogs, rabbits, lizards, birds, they all have different forelimbs, right? All these different creatures have different forelimbs, but they have the same set of bones. So this shows the same. It shows the same characteristics of these particular species, besides the DNA closeness and relatedness of these particular animals. So that's what homology is. Just showing a connection, not just with DNA, but it's showing a connection of bone structure, marrow structure. Even though these limbs are different between these birds and these frogs and these lizards, they still have the same set of bones. This is what homologies is. So go and look it up. HOMOLOGIES, homologies, or homology, either one. Then we have what I talked about before, which was distribution in time and space. Now, distribution in time and space, and a lot of opponents of evolution try to speak about the Cambrian explosion. And those who don't know what the Cambrian explosion is, this is one of the periods in Earth's time, the only period in Earth time where it seems as though a whole bunch of different species, millions and millions of species, seem like they just popped up on the earth. And opponents of evolution say, well, see, this is proof that evolution is really not real, because all of these different species, we have no fossil record of all these species from the Cambrian explosion. It's called the Cambrian explosion, or the Cambrian period. But what they fail to realize, and why they've been debunked so many years and so many times, is because just in this particular period where science sees this big explosion of all of these species, all of a sudden we don't see these species anymore. They're just gone. So in other words, if you believe God did this, then he's a real crude and stupid God, because he made all these different species, and obviously he felt like he didn't do a good job. All of them are dead now. These species are gone. Some are still living like what we call it's a particular worm called the false worm. And this particular worm, and this is the thing about this, and this is what disproves the Cambrian explosion theory, because we have what I'm speaking about, this particular worm, and Richard Dawkins speaks about this very in depth in this. We have this particular worm that we have right now. We have no fossil record of them, period. So what does that mean? In other words, it's as if this worm was just made in the last 50 or 100 years. So you're telling me this God just came and just created this worm and just throw them on the earth? Because we have no fossil record of this particular worm that goes back thousands, not even 200-300 years. We have no fossil record of this worm. He just popped up on the scene. So this kind of disproves the opponents of evolution when they try to use just one particular period in time of Cambrian explosion. So when we're speaking about distribution of time and space, then we're talking about long periods of time where man wasn't even here, Homo sapien wasn't even here, but the earth gradually evolved itself. Rocks, rock formations. This is why we have, when you talk about different periods, and the reason we know about these different periods, like the Jurassic period, and we can date it to 160 million years old because of the layers of rock, potassium argon dating, carbon-14 dating, and rock dating. We can date these. This is a simple thing that we do, that science can do, archaeology can do, paleontology does. So it's a simple thing to see that the earth has been here 4 billion years. And you got to think, for religious people, what the hell your God was doing all that time when human life was not even here 1% of that particular time. The earth was here without the Homo sapien, without the human being on this particular planet. So, and we have evidence of the plant life evolving, just like animals in the sea evolving. The same thing with the Homo sapien, which evolved from the same life and bacteria and fungi and things of the earth. This is where the Homo sapien human beings come from. But some people say, well, there has to be a purpose to human being. We didn't just evolve from animals. Why not? Why do you have to make a purpose so important? And see, this is the problem between religious belief and scientific inquiry or scientific fact. Because as science, you have to lay what you want to think about to the side, unbiased, and see the evidence for what it is. And this is what science does. And this is why science is going to keep beating religion. This is why intelligent design is never going to win. Creationists are never going to win debates. But this debate is going to be something that's going to continue to go on and go on and go on. And like I said, I have the links at the bottom of this video. So y'all hit on the video. You want to debate, hit me up anytime you want. You want to still talk about this particular subject of evolution or whatever you feel. Because like I said, if you're religious and you believe that some deity popped beside the sky, then you got to bring some evidence. Intelligent design, the Discovery Institute couldn't do it. They had Michael Behe, one of their biggest guns in science, even though he was pseudo, but this is one of their big guns, and they couldn't do it. They still can't do it. They've been debunked. So you got, and if you think aliens came here and did it and brought life here, then you bring your evidence. As simple as that. So right now, as of today, the spook god Jehovah didn't do it. Allah didn't do it. The aliens from Mars didn't do it. Oh, we don't have no evidence for it if they did do it. So the best model that we have to explain the origin of humans, of mankind on this earth, of mammals, is through natural selection and biological evolution. I'm sorry, but science is still winning. Until y'all come with something else. I mean, hey, I'm sure if you come with some evidence, man, and let it get peer reviewed, all of you smart guys out there, I'm sure it would be presented. Just bring it. And one thing before I shut this video off, this little guy named Young Pharaoh, be on Side of TV. He's about to debate December 18th against Amara Squad. Him and Sarah Sumseti. These people call themselves conscious and all this bullshit. But, you know, they speak against evolution. Never bring any facts. This is the same guy, Young Pharaoh, who had a picture of a damn alien. And then he got embarrassed about the damn alien. He had to retract this statement. It's just bullshit like this within the black conscious community that make you look bad, especially in debate. When you bring some information and you really can't bring it, you're bringing bullshit. You're getting off pseudo sites, but you speak against science that has been proven, and you never can bring an argument or a real antithesis to show it. So in actuality, you're just on YouTube. You're a YouTube scholar, or you're a social media scholar, but you actually can't bring evidence to debate against evolution. But you can speak about some damn aliens and get fake pictures of aliens off pseudo sites, and then get embarrassed and be made to look like a fool. So the best thing I can say to people like you, like Young Pharaoh and Sarah Sumseti, because y'all about to get y'all head cut off, man. Really, y'all are. But I mean, good luck. I wish you luck. But y'all about to get y'all head cut off. But like I say, you got information or a better scientific model than biological evolution, then just bring it. I mean, because it's like you're going against the best model, but you're not bringing something that can replace it. That's how science works. That's how real researchers do. If you got something, you say, hey man, this ain't right, then you should be able to bring something else to replace and say, this is why this should be replaced with this. Until y'all do that, I'm not going to have any respect for your research. I'm not going to have any respect for the bullshit coming out of your mouth, the lies. I mean, you're just like the Pope and everybody else, Creflo Dollar. You're just talking shit and you're just trying to get paid from the people to have these debates. You're getting paid to have debates. And you're just really a hustle. You're hustling with bullshit information. So that's the only way I look at you. You hustling the people. You're just like the brothers from back in the day, Father Divine and all those dudes, man. You Sweet Daddy Grace, the same shit y'all doing today. And y'all really been, y'all making elders look bad. You're making John Henry Clark look bad. Dr. Ben, making them look bad. So, I mean, people like Theophilo Bingham, who actually did real research, Diop, you're making them look bad. So, please don't think y'all actually going into their footsteps, because you're not. You're actually going in the opposite direction. You're going down the ignorant hall. You're not master teachers. You're actually unmastery students. That's what you are. But hey, I said my piece. You want to debate it? Come on with it. I got some nice swords. I feel like using them anyway. But like I said, this was my speaking of evolution. I'll probably give another video on this evolution thing too, because like I said, it's a big subject. But besides me just bashing religion all the time, then I need to bring a little science too. Hey, that's a background of mine. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. You know what I mean? Like I said, and I'm gonna bring out some of my other books too. Like I said, man, get this book, Richard Dawkins, The Greatest Show on Earth. Definitely a great book, and it shows the evidence for evolution. You see that right there? Ain't nobody came to debunk his book yet. You know what I mean? This book been out a couple of years now. You see that at the bottom? The evidence for evolution. So go get the book. Easy find. And like I said, man, I'm thanking y'all for subscribing to my channel. Please like and share my videos, and comment on below. You know what I mean? And hey, like I said, follow my links at the bottom of this video, and y'all just enjoy the rest of y'all night, the rest of y'all day, or whatever it may be. Peace out. Emperor Atheist.